We've grown up in a world where we're always having a response straight away, but sometimes it's okay to just
let it land. People think, oh, you're super confident that you can talk on camera, you can talk in public. But a year ago, we had never spoken on camera like this. We didn't know what we were doing. We were just runners. What we didn't realise is that we've had world champions, we've had Australian representatives in running, people who have worked their way from being in one place in life to another where they're now chasing their dreams. There's no better way to learn than from someone else.
guests are like the building blocks of our podcast. Like, they all have their own story, and sharing their story on our podcast almost builds the podcast story.
I didn't realise how much of an impact it would have on me personally. My mind got blown most of the way through that podcast. When he left, we looked at each other and went, wow, whoa, we need to get more guests like that.
This is life just waiting for ya. This is life just waiting for ya. This is life just waiting for ya.
So we're one episode away from our birthday episode.
Big boy episode.
The big boy episode. And we thought we would do an episode based around all the amazing guests that we've had on the podcast and the things that we've taken away and implemented in our lives to make them better from the connections that we've had with these guests. Because I think there's no better way to learn than from someone else. And the guests that we've had on have been absolutely incredible. We've had world champions, we've had Australian record holders, we've had Australian representatives in running, just people who have, worked their way from being in one place in life to another where they're now chasing their dreams and, career shifts and all those kinds of things. And I don't think that you can learn any better than from someone else's experience, and having them face to face in the greenhouse. I didn't actually think that that's what we were going to experience.
Well, the guests are like the building blocks of our podcast. Like, I find it really enjoyable being able to sit there in that moment. And I don't know, maybe it's different for... I'd actually be interested to get a take on what it's like to actually listen to the conversation compared to how it is... listen to the conversation through headphones or online compared to actually us listening in person. But it's like, one of the things I really value about our guests is that they all have their own story. And that their story and sharing their story on our podcast almost builds the podcast story, like how we've evolved through the whole process throughout the year. And that's something that I value a lot, is that each different person has something to bring to the podcast. And I
learned so much this year. I actually didn't think I was going to take away as much as what I did. I thought it was going to be simply someone sharing their story, us firing off a heap of questions, and that was it. And it's funny, like we talk so much on these episodes where it's just you and I, but I get super nervous when we get someone in the actual greenhouse. But let's talk about why we brought guests on. Initially I thought we were bringing guests on because I thought the exposure of the podcast, it'll grow a lot more, and it has, and we'll get a bigger reach. I didn't realize how much of an impact it would have on me personally. So, what about you? What was your initial thoughts behind actually having guests on?
Well,
want to spit it out?
Well, initially we thought, God, we can only talk about so many running topics. Like, you can't say Backyard Ultra every 5 episodes, you know what I mean? So we had to...
we can. We do.
But we wanted to break it up a little bit. And that's probably the approach I was taking, is that, all right, every 7 weeks, we're going to be able to break it up with something really cool. And
then we made it every 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So...
we got a little too eager.
Yeah, I mean, you're constantly hassling me about getting guests on, and I'm always trying to find people that are interesting, people who've had stories that are life-changing. I think that's what people nowadays yearn for. People want a real story. They want to see someone, take the leap. And I think most of our guests came from a position of doing something in life that they felt maybe possibly was a little mundane and, not where they wanted to be. And then they became this person that now they're they're thriving in an environment where they're happy, but it's that leap that we were trying to work out what that leap, what it takes, what the journey is. And I think we got a lot of that out of the guests that we had. And I think that's the one thing that you'll get from a guest is that you'll get life experience and an understanding. I almost found myself catching myself almost on every single guest episode thinking, we just spoke about that, like with you, going through life and growing and maturing. And it was so many funny moments. Like the latest one with Dan was when he said, after school, I took a gap year, and we'd just been talking about it beforehand. And, or there'd be, I think with Brady, he was talking about at school and, feeling
always wanting to be popular.
Yeah. Yeah. And those kinds of stories. And I'm like, oh man, that resonates with you. Cause we would like in that week, we were having those conversations.
Yeah. It's cool because you can read stories about these people. Like you can read books and maybe these people don't have books, but like you can read books about really big athletes, big professionals, autobiographies, everything like that. But it's a little bit of a different sense when you're in the moment with that person. You're almost like walking through their life with them, I guess, when you're asking questions, and you get to a point where you're kind of relying on the other co-host to ask the questions because you're so in that moment with them.
Yeah, I got lost a few times. I remember I'm like, nah, I'm really like, and you're in almost like a flow state. You're there and you're listening and they're telling you this amazing story and I'm like, oh, wow, this is really cool. I hope Ollie's got this next question. I'm just going to listen because I'm pretty sure I asked the last one. We've had offers of people wanting to jump on the pod virtually. And I mean, we've flown guests over to have them on the pod just to be able to have a face-to-face conversation because we know how important that connection is when you're kind of face-to-face in the same room with the other person.
We'll talk about the room as well. I think we had this conversation off podcast right before we started, but we had it. We had to talk about like the depth of this room. I actually don't think we were recording when we were talking about this, but just like not even the depth of what's in it visually, but like the conversations we'd had in it. Like it's just so much deepness within it that we've talked about. Yeah. And you can also translate over to the greenhouse where so many people have said so many things. It's almost like it's like more like, I don't want to say
it almost has like an energy to it.
We talk about how it's amazing and everything like that, but we actually have to put ourselves in a very vulnerable position at times, don't we?
Yeah.
Like we have to. I remember the first time we invited Brady over, and we're like, oh, we don't know this guy. He's got 40,000 followers. Like this is crazy. We don't know. It's really nerve-wracking when you don't actually know the person. And granted, we knew Phil when he first came over, so it wasn't as nervous. But you're still nervous in some sense where you don't want to stuff up on the camera or whatever. But I think that's the part we don't actually talk about is how we have to take this feeling of nervousness and take it in there and just sort of deal with it on the spot. Like people listening, like here, I feel like it's a little bit of a safe space because it's just me and you. Like we can stop the podcast.
Yeah, we still find it hard to start the podcast sometimes.
Yeah. Sometimes it took us like 7 minutes today to get started. We're just sitting here talking about nothing. We're just in silence trying to think.
So who's going to start it? Yeah.
And I think you ended up starting. But yeah, it's kind of a little bit more safer in here because we can actually edit the podcast and we can say to stop, but you can't really go, all right, let's just stop. Let's stop, Brady. Let's stop talking for a second. I'm a little bit nervous. You got to like dive into that feeling.
Well, you can't let the guest feel your nerves because they're nervous.
Yeah.
I'm super nervous. And I mean, it comes across as well. I reckon I've listened to a few episodes.
We won't give any cues of how Dad is nervous because you'll pick them out.
You'll pick them out. And you know what the funny thing is? That I feel like as if I feel that you go in there with your nerves and people think that because we do this podcast and they see us and they think, oh, you're super confident, you're super, all these things, right? That you can talk on camera, you can talk in public. But a year ago, we didn't have a single episode. We had never spoken on camera like this. We didn't know what we were doing. We were just runners that like to talk about running out on the trails and things like that. What we didn't realize is that how you speak is really important as well because no one wants, not that no one wants to listen, but people find it hard to listen when you're saying or every second word. And that's that first episode when I said about 100 times, and then I tried to make a reel, and I'm like, what the hell? I can't even edit this because I say every 4 or 5 phrases. So,
but something overall that the greenhouse and having guests over has taught me is not listening to respond. It's like listening to understand.
Yeah.
Like I always think, and sometimes you get caught up because you're like, oh crap, I got to say something now. So you kind of have to listen to respond in a way. But over the whole course of having guests over, I've really just like mastered the art, I guess, of just listening to listen and understand someone's story, and then sort of just let it flow on, and then not feel obligated to respond all the time, obviously because I got you there, but like just almost just let. Sometimes we find ourselves in a moment of silence in the greenhouse where it's just like, oh wow, you've just said something like crazy, and there's no need to respond to something like straight away.
Yeah.
Like we've grown up in a world where we're always having to respond straight away, but sometimes it's okay to just
let it land. I wanted to today just talk about the biggest takeaways that we've had from our guests. And it's in no particular order. We've just kind of messed them up and thought, we'll go through all our guests and the big learnings that we took away that you may not have even seen, or you may have even noticed from one podcast to another. Because there's over the 51 episodes, there's been plenty of contradictions, but yeah, there's and a lot of them have come through learning from what our guests have taught us and talked to us about.
Yep.
So go, sorry.
So first one, our man, Alex Cleary.
Alex Cleary. We didn't know him. You kind of knew him.
No, we
I didn't know him. I didn't know who he was.
I think you did sort of through like King of the Hill and Hardcore Harry's, that sort of space. But initially, before all that stuff sort of happened, I knew Alex Cleary from one race, and that was my first trail mountainous race.
Mountain run. Yep.
Mountain run. 42 kilometers out at Maroondah Dam, and it just blows my mind how like of a small world this is and how you can reconnect with people after so many years. And this was when I was like 14 and I'm 17 now. So 3 years ago.
So you're saying that you beat Alex in a mountainous 42K when you were 14?
I did end up beating him.
We know that Alex does actually listen to the podcast. So
I did beat him, but I shared a couple kilometers with him throughout the race, and yeah, I just thought, wow, he's a really nice guy. I'm never going to see him again. And lo and behold, we see him quite often now. And we had him on that podcast.
Yeah, he was a lovely guest. I think the couple biggest takeaways I took away was, you don't often look at your life and see what other people see. And we obviously invited Alex over for the pod, and yeah, what he was saying about, how we live on the farm, how we are as a family and all that, and how he can he looks at what we've built and appreciates it. And like hearing someone actually say that to you, that was actually quite profound for me, because I'm like, oh, well, sometimes you don't realize that you're living the dream life of what someone else would like.
I think there was a moment where we were like, our usual response, oh, no, we fight a lot. He's like, nah, shut up. Like he doesn't want to hear that.
Oh, 100%. 100%. But I think the biggest thing that I took away from Alex was that he spoke about like not drinking, and his challenge actually was for us to make better choices, choose the healthier option. And he was on early on in the year, and we're into the 7th month of the year now, right? And I haven't had a single alcoholic drink, and I don't reckon. Oh well, there's not been any time since I was probably 16, 17 that I would have taken a 6-month break from drinking. And I think I took that from him. He's like, well, you don't have to. There's a point that and I say this. I'm like, if someone asks me, oh, so you don't drink alcohol? I'm like, no, I'm not. I haven't quit or anything like that. I just don't do it. And I think I took that from him, understanding that you don't have to change as a person if you don't drink. I used to always identify that if I went to a social event, I had to fit in by drinking and things like that. And I'm like, no, I don't. And I've had a few moments. I've gone to gigs with your mum. I've caught up with mates, and I just don't. I don't drink. Might have a 0 beer, but I don't feel like I need to fit in anymore to be, drinking and stuff like that. So, not to say I'm never going to drink again, but I've actually enjoyed the 6 months of not drinking. That's something that I took away from that podcast. What about yourself?
I think I took a similar.
Well, you're not drinking. You haven't been drinking for 6 months.
No, I'm not talking about the drinking, but more so about, like, we know Alex as a character. Like, Alex is a character. I love Alex, right? And his personality, I think he is still the same person as what he was, but is different at the same time. So I believe he shared this on the podcast where he probably was a typical Aussie, would drink, would smoke, would addictions and whatnot, and then transitioned into this different person to who he is now. But I still think, like, there's something it's hard to put into words because I don't want to say he has the same behavior when he doesn't have the same behavior.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like, you're not losing who you are. It's like, this is going to sound so weird, but, like, I was studying a book at school called Twelfth Night of Shakespeare, and there was like it's all around disguise and deception and whatnot. And there's this one character who goes into disguise she's a female, and then goes into disguise as a male. And then because she knows that she's limited in this society, right? And I'm not saying that this directly correlates to Alex, but there's a really cool quote. It's like, conceal me what I am. So it's placing emphasis on not changing who you are. It's placing emphasis on what you are. And what she was a female, and she's changing into a male without changing who she is personally.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It makes complete sense.
That's the best way I can sort of describe
I think
this.
what you're trying to say, and this is what I kind of took away from that podcast as well, is that his personality and his drive and his determination, if pointed at, for me, this is what I kind of took, if pointed in this direction, right, he hasn't lost who he is. It's just that he's become a better person because of who he really is. And because he stayed true to who he was able to shift from bad habits and the things that he didn't like about himself. It was the shift was just, looking from this direction into this direction, and then moving forward with the person that he was, or the habits and the personality. The personality that he had allowed him to continue to be a better person.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that if he had have said, no, I can't have an addictive personality, I can't do all these things, well, then you wouldn't be able to shift and be this other person. Do you reckon that's what you're trying to say?
Yeah, I think because it is a little bit challenging to put into words and to describe how he has changed without changing his personality. Like, he's still this amazing person.
Yeah. He's just refocused his energy.
Maybe that's the lesson that we take away, is that there's always amazing qualities and traits and personalities about a certain person. It just depends on which direction they're pointing in.
Yeah, I think everyone's like that.
Yeah.
I think
everyone has the potential to be amazing.
Yeah.
It depends on whether or not you're willing to work on that potential. And I think he's worked on that potential.
Yeah. I think maybe even in what direction you're kind of looking, where your compass, how in what bearing your compass is taking.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So I think I want to talk about Ben Burgess. So Ben Burgess jumped on the pod. He just represented Australia at the World Trail Running Mountain Championships.
Yes.
Yeah, got it out.
It's a mouthful.
Got it out. And he did an amazing job. He was the number 1 ranked Aussie. And the biggest thing I took away from having Ben on the podcast was that he's just got this laid back approach. And the feedback that we got from that podcast, everyone loved it. They just felt like so much more relaxed after listening to that podcast with him. His philosophy on life and letting go and just being in the moment and in the trails. And I mean, everything that we love about trail running, that's Ben. I think that the community, the the freedom of being able to run at whatever pace you want and just going out and having fun. I think that's what Ben really brought to the podcast. I loved sitting across from him and having that chat. We actually jumped after that chat. He actually stayed the night, and I've got these 2 baths that I built for your mum for her 40th birthday. These ever hot bars that I light this fire and this coil goes through. Me and Ben just sat there and just chilled out for a few hours, just chatting away afterwards. And he's such a lovely guy. I loved having him on.
Well, the biggest thing I've changed since listening to Ben's being an interviewer of Ben's podcast.
What are you trying to...
I don't even know what I'm saying. I'm having the brain fart.
After being in Ben's presence. After being in Ben's presence, go on.
After being in Ben's presence, I haven't actually cared about what my Strava graph looks like anymore.
Yeah, well, that was his challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, well, one of his challenge was like no technology for the week. Oh no, I think we took it on board to no for a week. I think his was a day, but we went, nah, we'll do it for the week.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
actually.
but something a little bit deeper, and I always think about it every single time I'm doing like a really hard training session or something that's related to a race. I always think you just gotta have a day. Like, it's like the best.
I'd never even heard of that saying until he jumped on the pod.
The best lines you could ever say to an ultra runner, because you just gotta have a day.
Yeah.
It's so simple, yet like so meaningful.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you just gotta have a day.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I could take a little bit more of his relaxed approach. That's one thing I took that away from that podcast, that I've got to be a little bit more relaxed and a little bit more in the moment. But have I pulled it off? I don't think I have. I do try and channel that Benism, but yeah, I think I've got
It is a little bit challenging. Like, I think maybe the lifestyle he lives with just being in nature and all that stuff, I think it's very easy to come across that.
Yeah, I reckon that there are moments there where I'm out running on the trails by myself, and I soak it
100%.
up. I probably soak it up a lot more than what I used to.
Well, if Ben's listening right now, anytime I'm out like in trailers and out in nature, I always think of how Ben would be. Right?
Yeah, that's cool. All right, so these aren't in order, are they? Gaddy and Joel were on the potty.
Our first duo,
I guess. The idea behind this was having good mates on, and it was going to be, and I think I still might do it. I was going to call it's going to be obviously Guest in the Greenhouse while we run, and because it allows, like with friends, it's a lot easier to ask deeper questions. Yeah. So we did ask. We went pretty deep with these guys.
I think it did take a different trajectory though.
Yeah, well, I think the whole why we run definitely, but I had a heap of people reach out, and even people that I'll put the call out for who from listeners about their favourite guests and all that. And I had a few people reach out and say, Gaddy and Joel, I think because they went so deep into that space of how you feel after races, why we run, the suffering and
the people,
and you know, learning from others' experiences, and it was such a relatable podcast. And yeah, it was wonderful having them both on. But you know, from Gaddy, I loved when he spoke about, you know, the scaffold around you.
I loved that.
That was a really cool analogy about the scaffold. That it's like inside is this love for yourself, and you've got to love yourself and all that stuff, and why we run. And you know, it's the whole scaffold analogy. It's really important, and that's the one big thing that I took away from that podcast is that I often talk about the environment that I try and bring you kids up in, and creating this nice, beautiful environment so that you can thrive. But I don't often do it for myself. I sometimes.
What do you mean?
Well, I sometimes just like grind through whatever it is that I've got going on instead of, because I'm not very good at setting boundaries. I'm a yes man. I'm often saying yes to people when they ask me for a favor to do this or do that. I do. I'm always saying yes, apart from to you, because I'm trying to bring you up. But people often ask for a favor or this, and I haven't in the past been very good at setting boundaries to that, and so I overwhelm myself. Instead of having this scaffold around me where I've got this environment where where everything works and I can make good decisions and I can do the things that need to be done and to protect me and who I am. So I took that whole scaffold analogy and I've started to kind of build this scaffold around me and I've actually recognized the whole what I've built with that scaffold around me, whether it be you guys as my family, allowing me to chase my dreams, trying to do it without feeling guilty as well, and all those things. So yeah, that's one massive takeaway that I got from that.
I'll take a different approach, but I do have something that I learned a lot from Joel specifically. But I really liked how you can sort of like Gaddy and Joel didn't really know each other really well, but I love how you can put someone in an environment of like the greenhouse, say, and like a podcast environment, and they're just starting to like
vibe off each other.
Like we got to moments where like they'd be asking each other questions, and we're just sitting there listening. Like it's crazy how you can put people in certain environments and they can just mash really well. And I think we should value that a little bit more with running, like being able to be in a certain environment and make relationships with people is something really special, because that's not what most of the world is like.
No, 100%.
But something I learned deeply with Joel is that he didn't directly say this, but I had a little bit of a think about it. But we think that when we're racing and when we're running, we're racing against our competitors, but they're actually just like our people. Like everyone is just our people in running. Like we think so deeply. It's like, no, this is my competitor. I have to beat them. And you can think that, but
deep down,
they're just our people.
Yeah. So you're just hanging out with the people that you've got something in common with.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you treat them like competitors, then you're actually missing the point.
Yeah, I like that one.
So that's not something that Joel directly said, but
Yeah.
it's something that I interpreted from how he was talking about crew and just
community.
the people.
Yeah, but even community. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
All right. Our first ever guest was the one and only Mr. Phil Gore. We
took a long shot, flew him over.
We flew him over. It was it was an amazing weekend having Phil over. You playing arcade games in the front room whilst I set up the podcast.
This is when I was not very into the podcast. Like I just thought, I'll just go in, I'll just talk and whatnot. And I was playing.
Yeah, I was editing, I was doing everything, and then you were just kind of sitting there and interviewing people, or we were just having these kinds of chats. But I mean, like I said at the start, I mean the podcast has evolved into something bigger than what we thought it would be, and having Phil on as our first guest really gave us, I think it gave the podcast and the Guest in the Greenhouse episodes some legitimacy as well. Having someone, a world champion, one of the best runners on the planet on your podcast, on your 5th episode, was amazing. Up till that point, it was just you and me. People knew us in our local community, but to get that exposure was amazing, and we're super grateful to Phil for jumping on, because and the things that he shared, it was amazing. Like he is an open book. That guy, he told us all his sleep strategies, his nutrition strategies, his pacing strategies, and so many things. Right, but the biggest thing that I learned from Phil was that in terms of emotions, and they pop up. They pop up so much in races. You've got to look at what is actually useful to the outcome that you want. So I watch Phil, and I could never really put my finger on what it was that made him so amazing, because there were so many things that it looked like he was doing. Like, I mean, you can be organized, you can have a plan. That's great. We can all do that, right? We can have a good sleep strategy. Yep, we can all do that. We can say that we're going to do all these things, pacing, we can do the training, we can copy all those things. But what was the one thing that Phil was able to do that majority of people, when it came down to it, why they quit and he didn't? And that was understanding, from my understanding, that he didn't allow emotions affect his performance. So he would look at, I don't know whether he looks at it or whether he's just got this understanding where he just goes, that's not useful. That is not going to get me 6.7 kilometers on this loop. So he just goes, not that he blocks it out, he just takes what's useful and uses it, and what's not useful he just lets float by. And that was a massive takeaway from that first episode. That, and the fact is that we had no idea what we were doing hosting guests, and thank God it was Phil and he was one of our mates, because it took us hours to record that podcast. We had so many freaking dramas. It was raining. Our mics were echoing in each other's mics. I reckon it took me about 20 hours to edit that podcast. There was and I watched it 5 times. I was so over my own voice by the end of it because I had to edit it so much just to get it right.
We even had my camera stuffed up because Dad walked up and he walked across my face, and my camera wasn't focused on me the whole time. So I was just blurry and my mic was in focus. So no one will ever notice. Actually, they will now. But we had to, after the fact, I had to fake it and ask questions to make it make sense.
Yeah, so I think it was 4 or 5 questions that you asked that we had to re-record you asking those questions. We should have just left it. And I mean, but that was the thing, that we were just trying to chase this perfect episode. It was our one chance to really start with a bang. And
I just look back at those episodes. I'm like, man, our episodes are a lot better now. Just the quality and the production of them. Maybe it was because I took over or whatever. But they genuinely have gotten a lot better, and we've gotten a lot better. But something I learned from Phil, just a little bit broadly, was just the insight of what it's like to be that separator. I look at Phil and he's he separates himself from majority of the population with running. He is the greatest of all time at Backyard Ultras. And to be able to be in a room with him and just see how he answers questions and just behaves, I think that translates highly over to his performance at races. I think that was really cool to see.
Yeah, and I think he was super honest, and I think it makes it really easy when you're talking to someone and you're just being honest. It's so much easier. The conversation flows out, and because you're being honest, you're not hiding anything, and because he's so open about his advice and everything else.
Yeah, you would think someone who achieves certain results like Phil, they'd be a little bit more low key, quiet.
And I think his advice doesn't come from a place of judgment too, which is really, really nice. All right, so we had Stuart Hines
Your
on.
mate, Stuart Hines.
My mate, Stuart Hines. I've known Stu forever. When I first walked in there, I was running 5Ks, 6Ks, tried to run 8Ks and hurt my hip, and went over and seen Stu, and he fixed me up in 2 seconds. So he's, for anyone that hasn't seen the episode, but all these episodes, they're in our back catalogue, so go check them out. They were all amazing. There was a lot more insights than what we just brought to the podcast today. But Stu is a soft tissue therapist, Olympic. He's been to the Olympics a few times as a therapist. And I mean, the biggest thing that I took away from Stu's episode was having an understanding of 2 things. The team that's around you. Right now, we can't, as amateur runners, we can't have the physio on call all the time, and the soft tissue therapist and the coach and the psychologist and all these people, because that's how professional athletes work. They're in the middle and everyone's feeding into this team. There's this massive team around you. But what I come to understand from that is that you can build your own team with the resources that you do have. So for me, my team is you guys. Your mum for support, so she's my psychologist for support. You as my coach. If I question things and I'm asking you, I probably should listen a little bit more. And then I've got your sister as well. So all these people feed into, and I mean I've got Stu. I can call him anytime. Asking for advice. So we do. Everyone has their own team around them. It's just you got to look at it like your team. You can't. So that's the one big thing I took away from Stu, understanding that and making sure that you go and get treatment when you need it. Like you may think that you can grind your way through injuries and niggles, but you can't. You're better off going to see someone earlier to get on top of things.
Well, something I learned that's huge and has really impacted my running, training, and everything revolved around training and my running is that you gotta know your body. Like, and it sounds really simple, but like, I just think at the end of the day, if someone knows their body, they're able to identify so much more. And it takes time. Like, I think Stu emphasized that it takes time to actually be able to know your body. And I'm talking about physically, about how little injuries, little niggles here and there. But you think about it, if you're able to know your body a little bit more, you're able to know signals it's sending back towards you. And with those signals, you can make a rational decision towards training, towards your life. So I think and if you don't know your body, if you don't know what certain signals are, and you just keep pushing through that signal, you could end up doing some really bad damage.
Yeah.
So it's all about understanding your body. And if you want to take your running to the next level, I think making the conscious effort, because it takes effort to understand your body, making the conscious effort to be able to build a relationship with that part of you. So I think that's something that we neglect a lot. I think it's probably...
I think that you've gotten really good at it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's something that we think, oh, yeah, I know my body. I know like if I feel sore, I feel sore. You know what I mean? But no, it's not that. It's you have to take a deeper understanding of what it's actually doing, what it's actually saying to you, how it actually feels. Not just, oh, yeah, my hammy felt a little bit sore after that run. Like, that's not understanding you. That's not getting to know your body. That's just what happens after a run. You get a little bit sore.
Yeah.
Like it's on a deeper level. It's something you got to
try and have an understanding, but also don't overthink it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's...
Yeah, because you can go in the other
Because I'm
direction.
listening to you, I'm like, I hope you don't overthink it though too much. Because some things are just adaptations you need to accept.
Yeah,
Yeah, 100%.
balance. Because like sometimes like DOMS is a perfect example. Like you get DOMS and you think, oh, my body's sending me signals that are like, I need to stop this, right? But it's not. It's just you got to get adaptations because, like for instance, I'm using the example of DOMS. In the gym, like you get DOMS and then it's the worst pain ever. And you think, okay, if I'm going to continue getting that pain, why would I keep doing this? But for me, like you continue doing the gym sessions, you get DOMS for maybe another 1 or 2 sessions later, and then it's fine. Yeah. It's like, why? Because you understand that that's the process, and that's the process that your body has to go through to get to a certain level.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the growth.
Yeah.
It's the growth period. 100%.
Yeah.
We had Tom and Mia. They were our second guests in the greenhouse.
Yes.
They were amazing as well. They were good friends of ours.
I want to go first.
You go first.
Something I took away from this is just the relatability. Like we talked about...
That will be closer to your age too.
That's where I'm getting at here as well. It's like we talked about on the previous episodes where I don't really have too much to compare myself to. And not that I compare myself to these guys, but just being able to understand and know that there are people out there. There's people out there that are like you, that are doing the same things as you. And
that have gone through what you're going through.
Yeah, because I just think, oh, what is what I'm doing wrong? And they were just really reinforcing that what I'm doing is not wrong. It's normal. It's like it's your dream. If you're chasing a dream, then you can do that. So I think that whole relatability idea of things around me. I don't know much about you because they were quite young, but for me it was really impactful about just knowing that there's other people out there that are like me.
Yeah, I took 2 things away from them. I thought Mia was super vulnerable on the podcast and in sharing her journey through her mental struggles and how she worked through it and how she opened up about all that. And I think that by being vulnerable, that's where you get relatability and people could relate and could understand, oh, hang on, I'm not alone going through this. There are other people that have gone through this and made it through to the other side. And I think a lot of our guests, majority of our guests were vulnerable at a point. They shared something, Alex sharing his journey from, drugs and alcohol and all that to becoming who he is. I think Brady sharing his story of not being happy with where he was.
Brady? Yeah,
no. No.
No, we haven't.
Brady sharing, what he'd gone through and then who he is now. And, everyone's kind of had those stories. And I think Mia, it was wonderful, like for such a young person to share that stuff. It really hit home. And for me, it was a big one because it was, as a dad of a young woman, and having a daughter, to hear a young woman who's like early 20s talk about that stuff and what she had to go through, it gave me a really big perspective on what I'm going to go through as a dad and what the signs I should be looking out for with my own daughter. So it was wonderful that Mia shared that because, I mean, where can you get that experience? And I hope that other parents that were out there listening took that on board with their young children. Because it was quite a profound moment for me.
Yeah, because there's only so much about it you can read into it about the signs, but the best advice you can be given is from the person who's actually experienced.
Yeah, and I could ask her straight out, right there in front of me, what would you have done? What did you need? And she was very welcoming and open about that.
Yeah.
But with Tom, that episode was almost a year ago, but I've only now understood what he meant by, he was chasing all these big events and it just wasn't doing it for him. And he was just chasing, and from the outside, we're all looking at this amazing athlete doing these amazing things, but it just kind of didn't hit home at the end of the day. And you've got to be careful not to get yourself into that state. In recent times, like doing Unbreakable for me, that's what I almost felt like what Tom described, chasing these big events to get this buzz that you kind of didn't get. And I think you described it on the Wild Boar episode where you crossed the line and you didn't get that buzz. And that's dangerous. That is a really dangerous place to be because the thing that you're doing it for is no longer satisfying the itch that's inside you to perform bigger. So you got to be careful that you're not chasing too big. And on the journey of chasing that real big goal, and I think that's where me and you kind of get lost sometimes. We've got this massive goal in mind that we actually can't celebrate the little ones. And everyone else is looking at us going, oh my God, that's amazing. You just won this 50K race. And you're like, meh. And people are looking, oh, you're finishing the unfinishable race. And I'm like, yeah, like feels great, but I should be like freaking pumped as. But and then that's what I kind of took away from Tom is that that's a dangerous place to be. So you've got to work out why you're doing these things. So yeah, you go into the next bit, but that's what I took away.
No, yeah, that's cool. Cause I haven't even, like you said, it's like been nearly a year, and I was sitting there in the moment, I'm like, yeah, that kind of makes sense, but I just guess I couldn't relate to it. But now being able to experience a feeling like that of something like you've achieved something, but it doesn't feel
yeah.
Great.
And I think that's what was happening to him. Things weren't hitting as like they used to, so we would chase further and further out until you've got to stop chasing further, and you got to turn around and actually confront the thing that that there might be a deeper why to why you're not.
Okay, Ethan Fleming. This is like a really special episode for me because it was the first time I upgraded our lighting and our
not because we had Ethan on, it's because we upgraded.
Well, I made it look all sexy and everything like that. It was really cool. But something deep that I learned from Ethan was that you got to be willing. You just have to be willing to work hard at something to achieve something.
Risk it all.
And you can't smell the no. I'm joking. But you're gonna go all in. And that's what he's doing with Hardcore Harry's and the brands that he's built is just going all in.
Yeah.
And you got to have a personality trait for that. And if you have that trait, then you'll achieve so much.
Yeah. I watched this reel the other day, and it was like millionaire. Like someone was talking about millionaires. They don't overthink things. And this is what this reel was saying, that the person that's really, really, really smart plans it out, procrastinates over it, and then just takes forever to achieve the making their first $1 million. But the person that doesn't plan as much, that doesn't do all these things, is the person that achieves it. And you go, like, they may not be the most intelligent person and know all the answers, but they're the person that learnt on the fly. And I think that, just sending it and going, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to go all in.
I like that. I like that motivation as well, because it almost, if you get into a moment where it's really risky to do something like that, and that risk drives you even further because you don't want to experience that. Like going all in with something and you got no other option makes you want to make that thing bloody work because you got nothing else. That's where I think it's really special. I have a lot of respect for people who can do that because
no risk, no reward.
To put yourself in a really vulnerable position is the worst thing that you can do to yourself. But to do it anyways and to push through that is.
Well, one thing I also do. So his lecturer said that his PT idea was a dumb idea.
It wouldn't work,
right? It wouldn't work. It's not going to work, right? So not only has someone just told you that your idea stinks and it's not going to work, so that's bad. But then you go and put yourself out there and try and attempt it.
That's even
harder, because not only you've been told that you can't achieve it, then you go and try and achieve it, and your vulnerability to do that is it's really tricky, because then if you don't achieve it, then that's the source of the person that told you, who is going to say, I told you so. So to have the balls to actually go and chase it, it's amazing. I think that's one big thing that I learned from Ethan. And also being super accountable to why you don't achieve things as well. I think, understanding that this didn't work because of this and this didn't work because of that, and then pivoting and stuff like that. And I think that that's where a lot of his growth, and that's why he's been so successful in business. And now I think that his Harry's brand and the guys that he's got around him, his co-founders and stuff like that, that's why they're just going hard, fast in that direction.
They all have that same personality. And that's why Harry's is going to be so huge in Australia.
Yeah.
It'll be massive.
All right, so we had Brady on.
So two times.
2 times. He was out. But he was an amazing guest. I think the first time we had him on was after he'd done his 30 marathons in 30 days. And it was just, he was a breath of fresh air. I think he's a real likable young guy. He's got a massive following, and you can see why he's got such a big following. And it was probably the moment for me. It was like speaking what you want into existence. That's what I learned from Brady on that podcast. And we actually did it on the podcast, where he pretty much said, well, and he called me out.
Yeah, he did.
He called me out, and he's like, I'm like, oh man, now I've got to say it. And and his challenge was to set our goals, write them down, look at our goals once a month to make sure that we're ticking all those boxes. And it's okay to fail. He even said that it's okay to fail, but just put it out there. And I say this to a lot of people now, even some of my coaching clients. I say, if you don't put it out there, then no one's going to help you achieve that thing either. And it's not that you're telling people, oh, you need to help me achieve this thing. It's like, this is what I'm doing. And what you'll find is that people will align with you to help you achieve that goal. So even with coaching, I implore my clients to say, what is it that you want? You tell me what you want, and they'll be like, oh, I want to finish that race, or I want to win that race. It's like, okay, I now know what we need to do, right? Now we need to work in that direction. It's the same with me. On that episode, I'm like, I want to do that. I want to be the last one standing at the Hardcore Harry's Challenge. And what happened? It was like everyone...
Well, it's not I want, it's I am.
I am going to. Sorry, yes. Yes, I am. I am going to do that thing. So yeah, I was really... And he's such a young guy to teach me, who's a little bit older, something like that. And I think that I was kind of brought up to not announce what I wanted or what I was going to do, because I looked at it as arrogance. And then I loved how he reframed that it's not arrogant to say what you want.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was even in the podcast, I was a little bit like, oh, this sounds a little bit arrogant. Like, I wouldn't want to do that. Like, shout my goals out loud. But Yeah.
But what is
reframes
it in that moment though? Because you fear.
Right.
You're actually scared
You
of.
fear of what people think of you. Yeah.
Yeah. Because why?
Because it's such an ambitious goal.
Yeah, but not even that. It's like, but what's there to be scared of when you say to the world, you go, I'm going to do this? What's so scary about that? There's actually nothing scary about saying, I'm going to do this. And then by saying it, putting the things in place to achieve that goal. But somewhere along the line, we're scared to say what we want in fear of what others are going to think. But who gives a shit what other people think?
Yeah, I like thinking about the concept that it's like a paradox where everyone's too busy thinking about what other people are thinking of them, so no one's actually like. So you got one person here and one person over here, so they're too busy thinking about this person, but they're too busy thinking about. So it's just like a constant
Yeah, and no one really gives a shit
cycle,
about anyone.
right? But then there's that one person who breaks the cycle, and that's when they're truly free.
Yeah.
But something I learned from Brady is that like we're all just people. Like and he has a huge following, right? And I think that if you look at, and for the majority of the population might look at Brady and go, man, he's this person, he's amazing, right? But no, like he has a life, like he has his own issues, and that perspective of like him coming into the greenhouse and just being his authentic self right there and then, not to say he's not his authentic self online, but like being able to see that he's just a person like all of us just reframes that whole perspective of me, even just looking at elite athletes. Like, man, they got their own issues. They have stresses. Like, because we work ourselves up to thinking about how good that they might have it because they've got this certain amount of followers, when really that's not the case. They're just like us.
Yeah, I think another big takeaway from Brady's episode was that we seen this persona online, and he came across as, educational, as motivating, as liking to do hard things, but then to actually sit him down in front of us for a couple hours and actually talk to him, his personality didn't change. That is who he is. What you see online is what you see in real life. And that is why he's so successful, because people can relate to someone that's just being their authentic self. And I thought that with Brady, that was one of the most amazing things. And when he was leaving the podcast and going home, he was like, yeah, let's catch up for a run. Let's have a chat. And he was interested in what we do as well. And he's a lovely guy. So
next one. Yeah. Margie Hadley.
Yes, we had Margie on just after she was the last female standing at Melbourne Front Yard Ultra. And we'd known Margie for quite some time. You'd ran with her at No Time to Die. She was lovely there to you. She kept you motivated. She kept you going when you were 14 years old, running 28 hours or whatever it was, 14 or 15 years old. It was amazing to have her on and hear her story. And she's far out. She's one tough cookie. I raced her in the Hardcore Harry's, or not raced her, but I was competing against her in the Hardcore Harry's Challenge, and she motivated me to no end. She taught me that the only way we can find our limit is by motivating others to find theirs. And in that challenge, that's exactly what she did. Day 66, we've spoken about it a lot. She said to me that I could keep going, that she knows that there's an athlete inside me that has the capabilities to keep going. And, it was really, really special to have her on because, she shared a story of, fighting back from cancer and her resilience and her why not approach, why not me? And why can't I be the winner of these events? Why can't I be, the best at this thing? And if you start with why not me, then it ends with you putting the plan in place to become the person that essentially the heart of the why not me.
Margie opened my eyes up to seeing our community and how lucky we actually are. So I remember asking a specific question because Margie was in the road running community, but is also in the trail running community. And I asked, like, is there a difference? And her response was just like, we're so lucky to have what we have in like the trail running community because we're just always there for each other. We're always pushing each other's limits. And in road running, it's very individualistic. Is that a word?
Yeah, individualistic. But I think
individuality, like that whole concept is like road running.
I want to ask you before you go on. I want to ask you why you think that is.
I think that it's all about chasing PBs, and PBs are personal best.
Yeah,
like it's always personal. That's where I think that whole framework of
I don't. Really do you think it's road running, or do you think it's the distance? I think there's a couple of things because to train for a distance of 21 or 42 Ks, it's a very athletic pursuit. You're training the muscles, you're training the body.
Nah, I think it's the road running because it's all about speed, right? Because you can have a 21K on trails, and people are still
yes, I agree with you there. But you're in the outdoors as well. I'm not saying that road running's not the outdoors, but you're out in nature. And there's like a closer connection to nature. And the thing is that what I'm talking about, because you're not chasing those PBs because you can't turn up on a trail course and run 21 Ks and run a PB the same as what you would be a road running course because it's flat. It's, do you get what I'm saying?
Road running courses are designed for you to push the fastest.
Yeah.
Right, and trails, you're just not going to push the fastest because there's other opportunities to push faster.
Well, I think that in the for me, what I'm trying to get at is that I think the trail stuff is there's 10 different 21K courses. One could be hilly, really hilly. One could be not, whatever it is. So a PB is not really that relevant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas in the road running community, PBs are more relevant.
Yeah, but then in saying that, like a backyard ultra, like PBs are relevant, and then we're trying to push. I don't know. It's just I feel like it's ultra community. I feel like it's ultra road running. I don't know if it's about the distance. I think it's all about.
Yeah, but when you push into the ultra space, it's super mental too.
Yeah.
So I think that once you realize that,
it's also mental. It's also mental in a road running race.
Yeah, but I don't think that you push as far.
No.
Like into the mental space when you're running.
5K is so tough mentally.
Yeah. Well, it's tough mentally because you're burning and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Whereas I think
there's two different mental sides.
Sorry to take you off the track, but anyway, okay. So what were you saying, Ben?
But it was her teaching me about how we are really lucky to have the community that we have.
Yeah, and I think everyone just keeps pushing each other. I think that's the beauty of.
And don't take it for granted.
Yeah, definitely don't take it for granted. I think when you can slow down, maybe that's it. Maybe when you can slow down, you've actually got the space to have conversations with people, enjoy the outdoors with people, and it's not like, oh, we're pushing so far. Because in ultra, it's such a long distance, especially when you're not competing at the high end, that you can kind of go back it off and have a conversation, and you're not puffing and panting. So maybe that's where the connection is.
Yeah, that could be the way.
Yes. All right. So our last guest, happens to be the last person we're talking about today as well. But our last guest was Daniel Dymond, and he was a performance psychologist. And my mind got blown most of the way through that podcast. When he left, we looked at each other and went, whoa, we need to get more guests like that. Not to say that our other guests weren't great, but he kind of blew our mind in terms of the mind stuff that we love talking about.
Well, I want to, not like an overview of what he taught me, but I want to give one really specific situation that he sort of brought to us that blew my mind.
I wonder if it's the same thing that I'm thinking.
Oh, no.
Go on, you go first.
Okay. So he's talking to us about riding a bike?
No.
Okay, good. Okay. All right. So we can ride a bike along a path, and it's in our local park and whatnot. And what's our capability?
Oh, are you asking me?
Yeah,
are you reenacting the episode?
Let's not reenact. He asked us what that capability was, and then we're like, okay, that's really, really high. And then he goes and switches the situation. It's like, okay, so you're in the mountains, you're riding a bike, and you got cliff on one side, cliff on the other side, crocodiles down at the bottom, jagged rocks down the other side, and you have to ride along this path on the mountains. It's like, what's your capability? And we both said it's lower. When it's not lower, you can still ride the bike the same in terms of capability. It's just the dangers around you are what's the word? I'm trying to think of the word.
It affects your perception of
It changes your perception of what your capability is.
Yeah, 100%. So you've got to be, and then that's what. So it's the environment that you find yourself in.
So it's not you and your capability of actually being able to do something. It's what's around you.
Well, that kind of stemmed into like the state of mind and your mindset. So your mindset is your capability in that kind of example, and your state of mind is the environment that you find yourself in. So when your state of mind is calm and focused, then your mindset aligns and you are capable of going through that path.
Yeah, but it was almost even like he said, like, let's not place emphasis on your state of mind because that's always altering, that's always changing.
Yes.
It's the mindset, your beliefs, it's what you truly believe. That's what you got to work on, and that's what you have to use at the core of it all. And we shouldn't be so reliant on our state of mind.
Yeah. I look, the biggest thing I took away from him was the relationship that we have with our emotions.
Yeah.
It's not the emotion itself, it's our relationship.
Yep.
And I've been trying to work on that a lot. And I know it was only on a few weeks ago, but yeah, it's our relationship to that emotion. And I mean, it's hard, obviously, I think it's a little bit easier when you're younger because those emotions aren't completely bound to, the relationships aren't bound to certain reactions from your emotions. Whereas when you get older, you've been doing something a certain way, and your brain, the pathways in your brain tend to go the same way. So, but yeah, Dan was an amazing guest, and I mean, we're going to get a heap more people on like that, where we can really share with the community what it's like to get inside the mind of a professional athlete and how we can utilize those skills as amateur athletes or want to be
get better.
Performance. Yeah.
Get better together by next week.
Yeah. You're funny. You're funny. All right,
Okay, fly on the wall.
let's go fly on the wall.
Fly on the wall, fly on the wall. If it's strange, send it through. If it's smart, we'll take that too. If it makes no sense at all, perfect for a fly on the wall.
All right. So I had a few questions. People were talking about, love the human guinea pig episode. So we had a few of them. I think we're going to do an update of the human guinea pig in our new year, in our second year of episodes. I was trying to spit it out. So people loved Gaddy's and Joel's episode, as we mentioned, and I think a few of those other things as well. But then we had a few questions as well. I'll ask them, and then you. So, which one of your guests changed you the most? I think we kind of covered that in the but in terms of change,
They all had such a really big impact on me, but I think the major one was maybe Tom and Mia.
Yeah.
Just being able to understand that there's people like.
What do you think part of it? Do you think it was because they shared what they were
Shared
like
their
as young adults?
Yeah,
I felt there was a
young
moment
adult- the
there
young
that they
adult
spoke
things.
about, that disconnect from the people around them because they were a little bit different, maybe more mature, maybe more driven than others, and they felt like there was that disconnect at a young age.
Yeah.
Did you find that?
I found that, yeah.
Yeah. For me, I think the person that kind of changed me the most, I'd say Alex, and that was more because I seen myself a lot in Alex, especially younger and growing up and things like that. So I think he kind of gave me a different perspective on, I don't know, sometimes you look at a person and you see yourself in them and where they're going, and then you are potentially where they were, and it allows you to reflect on that journey yourself. And I think I see a lot of the things that Alex wants in life, and I feel like I've achieved some of those things, but without actually looking and reflecting on that I've achieved those things. And it's a really weird way of looking at it, because I'm the type of person that I don't reflect and go, yeah, I've made it. I never do that. And he allowed me to kind of look at what I've achieved and see that there is positive things in what I've achieved, and not to beat myself up over the being human and being frustrated and angry or whatever else, and letting that overawe me and quash the things that I have actually, the good things that I have actually achieved in life. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't think you
No, I completely understand what you're saying there.
One person I would love to get on, and I've actually reached out to him, was Giannis Kouros. I'd love to get him on. There are so many questions I would like to ask him. He's an older gentleman now, but I'm still in the pursuit of trying to get him on. I think he has an amazing story. Someone who so many years ago set so many records that are still haven't been broken.
Yeah.
I want to get into the nitty-gritty of how he was able to achieve that. He was ahead of his time. So.
Well, yeah, especially considering like the science of sport and performance and shoes and everything has upgraded, and his records still stand today, regardless.
Well, a guy that I work with, his dad used to race Giannis Kouros.
Yeah.
And that was years ago, and he was telling me that they would turn up to these races, and Giannis was in a tent, and he'd have all his stuff laid out, and it was like a science lab in there, and everyone else was just in a camp chair, just sitting there running loops and running for days. And Giannis had this, perfect setup to crush these events.
Almost like all it is now. So, yeah, ahead of his time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there something that one of your guests said that you didn't agree with? It's the last one.
Okay, so it's not that I didn't agree with it. Just what I was like caught me by surprise, and I still think maybe it's not supposed to be that way. Was when Ethan said, "Stop to smell the roses." Like, you think that that's a terrible term. Like, everyone, each their own. Like, you can have that opinion, but I think in some situations it's okay to stop and smell the roses. Like the stopping and smelling the roses for me is a representation of reflecting on how far you've come. Not so much stopping and like looking over here and being distracted by something else, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that you can sort of reframe it, but I'm not totally disagreeing with him. I just think it could mean something else.
Yeah. The one thing I kind of disagree with, I love Ben Burgess. I love him to bits, but I think too much of a relaxed approach, which I think there needs to be a balance. I think too much of a relaxed approach to training and can also be a little detrimental.
I think he understands that as well.
Yeah, I definitely think that he understands that, but I think that he was, what he said about being like super relaxed, for someone like me, I definitely think I need to be a little bit more relaxed. But if you're too super duper relaxed, then that can work adversely against you as well. So not that I disagree with what he said, I just think that if you're a super relaxed person, and that's where I think accountability comes in. Like, if you're accountable, then you know when you're too relaxed and you're taking it too easy.
Yeah.
So the person that's super accountable, definitely back off. But if you're not very accountable, that's not a good bit of thing to take back. So that's probably one thing. Most of what people said, I actually agree with, and I think that it's not so much. I mean, that's a hard question to answer because everyone does life differently, and I think the most important thing out of all the episodes that we did was that's it. Everyone does life differently, and they experience life differently, and they travel through life differently.
Well, and everyone gets to the same point.
Yeah, at the end, yeah. But it's the experiences that you have that shape you as a person. And at the end of the day, that's all you've got, and that's who you become. So none of our guests ever took me back to a point where I'm like, no, I completely disagree, because they've become the person that they are. And there's a reason why we wanted to have them on the podcast. They wouldn't be on the podcast if they didn't have these experiences and they didn't become this person that we really wanted to talk to. So, yeah, let's get into our don't quote me on that.
Don't quote me on that very first. Facts later made the confidence high. Accuracy shaky. Quote, theory both.
Y'all ready for this?
Oh, yeah. Is that the new
No,
thing
it's
for
not
it?
this thing. Maybe it could be our new sting for our the review.
Yeah, we don't have anything
We
to
don't have
review this
anything
week.
to review this week. Send
Someone-
some more stuff in.
Someone
please.
send Ollie some free stuff. He likes getting free stuff.
Okay. Do you want to go first? Or you
Yeah,
want me to go?
so my theory for the week.
Hold on. I'm going to cut you off.
All right, you're going to go
Theories are the biggest
first. BS?
bull BS ever.
What?
They're bloody quotes. I was listening because I'm editing the podcast. I'm listening. I'm like, it's a flipping quote. He's just quoting something.
All right, well, don't quote me on that, and I'll just say it, and then people can go, whether it's
Yeah,
a theory or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait. Sorry. I want to do just a little bit of a side quest. I just want to know the difference between a quote and a theory.
Because a quote is something that you say, and a theory has explanation, mate. So that's the difference.
So a quote is a restatement of someone else's exact spoken or written words or a fixed binding price of, whatever. A theory, however, is a
Substantiated.
substantiated explanation of some aspect of the natural world or conceptual framework used to predict and understand phenomena.
Okay, so I don't have a unsubstantiated theory or a real technical theory, but I think, and people, will probably agree, and we do this in everyday life. One thing that everyone really, really taught me this year was to listen more, and the knowledge that I gained by actually stopping to listen to people, it allowed me to grow in a way that I didn't think was possible. There was I had fixed theories and
Quotes.
quotes in my brain about how things had to be. And because I'm such a trial and error person, I believed in my own intuition maybe too much. And I didn't learn from other people's experiences enough. And I think because from my upbringing and who I am, everything has been trial and error. Everything has been trying to work it out myself, not having support from others. So I looked at having the opportunity with guests to actually learn from other people's experiences, whether they were younger than me or older than me. But when I reframed it in my own head and said to myself, this is an opportunity to learn, I actually learned a hell of a lot more, and it sped up my development in who I am as a person. So is there a quote, a theory in there? I don't know. But that was probably my biggest takeaway in terms of, now I've gone quote, theory, takeaway. I like that. Takeaway maybe. But I think that's the thing, that I think that as people, if we listen more to learn, and I think we said that at the start of the show, instead of listen to respond, we'll gain a lot more knowledge and develop more as people. Ollie's been a bit sick. Ollie's been a bit sick. He was trying to hold in a cough. And I strung it out as long as I could because I seen him struggling from across from me.
Yeah, my eyes were like,
All right.
oh, golly gosh.
Right. Our audience doesn't need to hear that. But anyway. All right. What was your quote? Don't quote me on that.
I don't know if I have a quote. Maybe I have a theory. I don't know. But don't quote me on this. But the most valuable thing that you have, can you guess? Just take a guess. Anything.
Is a relationship with someone else.
Could be. But I think it's your dream. You have to have a dream. Now, I remember asking you a while back about like what's your dream, and I don't think you had a solid answer for me. You don't have to answer now, but I think that like you have to have a purpose. Like the dream can be many different words for people. It could be purpose, meaning, their why. Like you have to have a dream, because otherwise I don't see a point to what you're doing.
Yeah, I actually agree with you there.
Yeah.
Because as you're saying that, anytime I've struggled with things or not knowing what my direction is or anything like that, it's when I haven't. And you name it. You say dream. I'd say purpose. Maybe
It can be
more
it can be anything.
Yeah. I find that as well. I find when I don't have a purpose, I just don't know what direction I'm headed in.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean that happened to me. I mean, we'll obviously on our 1 year birthday episode, we'll talk about the podcast, the direction, the purposes, and all that a bit more. But yeah, I think let's leave it at that. But I think definitely you need to have a purpose or a dream.
Better by next week. I don't even know those.
Yeah, they're great. I listened to them the other day.
Take that first small step.
The better by next week one.
Yeah.
Better by next week, Sean.
Okay. Alrighty. I'll go first. Okay. So, my better by next week challenge for you this week is to just do. I know that sounds like really broad.
You've been saying this as well all week.
Yeah. Well, I've found myself like, because I'm in school holidays at the moment, like having to do school holiday homework, podcasts, running, and I find that like I get really overwhelmed in the day. And don't you ever think, and like everyone, I guarantee you, don't you ever think like you get yourself in a really overwhelming state of mind where you're really stressed about having to do all these things, but you don't want to do it, do the first thing? That makes sense? Like, so what? You're like contradicting yourself. It's like, oh, I'm stressed about all this stuff, but I don't want to do anything about it. I hate it when
You're
I think
in limbo.
like that. I hate it when I think like that, and because it's just like it's like a harsh truth, I guess, because like why if
you're your own
like,
worst enemy.
Yeah, you're your own worst enemy, because it's like why, like you're almost by the way you're behaving, you're almost saying to the world that. Now, I enjoy being in this state of being overwhelmed, or I don't like having all these things to do, because you don't want to take action. Like, just do.
Yep.
Just flip and do it. At the moment you're thinking about it, just do. Because I found myself procrastinating about things and not wanting to do things when I want to do those things at the same. Like, just do it.
Oh, cool. No worries. I'll make sure that you're doing things when Mum
No,
asks you to
I'm not
put wood on the fire,
No,
to
no,
take
I'm
out
not
the
talking
big.
about that sort of stuff. I'm talking about stuff that like compounds over time.
Okay. All right. So take the first step in.
Just do it.
Okay.
Just flip it.
Well, so my better by next week challenge to you and our listeners, and we've had a similar challenge before where we've been asked to message or ring people and thank them for being in our lives and things like that. But I want you to actually reach out to 3 people this week and tell them how they've inspired you.
Okay.
You know, obviously I've gained so much inspiration from our guests that we've had over the year, and I want you to reach out to 3 people. I might even do it myself. I'd like.
Does
to
it have
do
to be
this
people I know closely?
No,
Okay.
just you know.
So I can message Killian and then he go.
Yeah, and he might not respond, but because you probably have millions of people messaging him, telling him that he's inspiring. But people that inspire you in life, just reach out to 3 people. You can call them, you can message them if you don't feel as comfortable to call them.
I'll just give a buzz to Killian. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. So that's my challenge for you and our guests. Actually, reach out to 3 people and tell them how much they have inspired you, because you would find that often people don't realize themselves how inspiring they are, because no one really says anything. But you might be looking at someone and going, "Hey, look, that person really inspires me."
Imagine,
I'm going to let them know.
like sorry to cut you off, but imagine you had like the 2 people that listen to our podcast and like they both call each other.
Oh yeah, That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, the Better by Next Week challenge this week.
Oh, we're
was
going to do
doing
that too.
yeah, high five. And then they go for a run together. That'd be awesome. All right, cool. Let's finish it up there. Hey, what a...
Oh, we forgot to say, let's bring this one across the finish line.
Oh, let's bring this one
Let's
across the
bring
finish
this one
line at the end.
across.
Yeah, so if you're listening, hey, we have got like 39% of people actually follow the
Oh.
podcast that listen on our social.
Come on, guys.
Yeah,
Come
so
on.
click the follow button and click the 5-star button. That's even better. It just gives us a bigger reach for the podcast.
Yeah, like I do. I look at the stats and we have so many people listening to our podcast, but we have 160 people giving the 5-star review.
Oh, I mean, yeah, it's
Like,
blasphemy. Like,
God, like, Jesus Christ. But please, if you got to the end of this podcast, like, please do us a favor. It really helps out.
yeah. Well, we'll see how much that call out worked. All right. Enjoy your runs. I hope you're actually, finishing your run up whilst you're listening. This would be awesome. But yeah, have a great week and we'll see you next week for the 52nd episode of the Better by Next Week podcast, which is our birthday episode.
Yes.
We turn 1. So see you then.
Bye-bye.
This is life just waiting